Hello, welcome back to Statistics and Mathematics YouTube channel. Today we are going to tackle what we call sampling techniques. Sampling techniques. In our previous video, we started on definition on statistics. We came to differentiate between what you call the population and then sample, and later discuss something on parameter and statistics. And throughout all this definition and explanation study, we learned that most of the times we cannot use all this the population to conduct a research. What we usually use is to use the sample and later use the sample to describe the population. And we get the sample from what? The population. But when we are selecting the sample from the population, in order to avoid biasness, we use what we call the sampling. We use what we call the sampling techniques. Sampling techniques. So today we are going to learn something about the four main sampling techniques that we have in statistics. Right? We have two forms of sampling techniques. We have the probability sampling techniques and the non-probability sampling techniques. But for our course, our main focus will be on the probability sampling techniques. So the first on my list here is random sampling. Random sampling. A random sample is a sample in which all the members of the population have an equal chance of being selected. A random sample is a sample in which all the members of the population have an equal chance of being selected. For example, let's say this is names of students in a class. We have Amma, Kwajo, Yao, Kweku, Esi, Amwa, Ernest, Sechin, John, Polycarp, Ekuya, Ajimai, Yao, Liti, Akos, and Maya. So these are the 16 people that we have in the class. So all these 16 people form what you call the population in the class. And out of this population, we want to sample 9 people out of the class. And then we are using a random sampling. So for this random sampling, we are just going to look through the population and select any kind of population, or sorry, any kind of people of our choice, right? So here I've selected Amma, Kweku, Amwa, Ernest, Sechin, Polycarp, Ajmai, Yao, and Maya. So these are the people that I've selected. They are 9 people, and these 9 people I've selected them from the population to form what you call the sample. So for random sampling, it doesn't follow any criteria. It just uses selecting these individuals at random, and it's one of the best sampling that we usually use in conducting of research. So here the population is 16, but we have a sample of 9, which form a name of Amma, Kweku, Amwa, Ernest, Sechin, Polycarp, Ajima, Yao, and Maya. So this is the explanation I can give you on random sampling. So let's go to systematic sampling. So for systematic sampling is a sample obtained by selecting every kth member of the population where k is a counting number. So for instance, a researcher obtained systematic sampling by numbering each subject of the population and then select the kth subject. So for example, let's say suppose there were 16 subjects in the population and a sample of 4 subjects were divided. So the population is 16 and a sample of 4 are divided. So you are going to divide this 4 by the 16. That's you are going to divide the sample by the population. When you divide that, you are going to get 4. So then our k will be equal to 4. So this is just telling us that we are going to, out of this 16 population, we are going to have 4 different groups that will form the sample. And when we add everything in the sample, we have to get the population 16. And then we want to select, we want to form our sample, our first sample, by using the 4th subject in each group, right? Using the 4th subject in each group. And the first subject that you can see here could be selected at random, right? So there is a list here. We have there is a list here. Amma, Kofi, Yao, Kweku, Esi, Amwa, Sechin, and the rest, right? These are the lists that we have here, right? And then we are using systematic sampling. So for the systematic sampling, right now you know that the population is 16. The names here is 16. We are divided by 4, right? And then we have gotten 4. So within each sample, we are going to get 4 participants. But how can we select this? How can we get this 4 participants? So we are just going to, group this thing into 4 different sections. The names, right? So we have Ama Kweku Ama Kofi Ya Kweku will form one group. AC Amwa Ernest Sechin will form one group. John J Polycarp Akuya Ajimai Lithi Akuya Ajimai. Akuya will form one group, and then Ajimai, Lithi, Akos, and Maya will form another group. So here, these are the groups that we are going to have. They will be our first group. This will be our second group. This will be our fourth group. This will be our fourth group. So here, within the first sample, we are just going to select. You see, the criteria I just given that the selection will be from the first selection will be from 1 to 4, of which this is our 1 to 4, and then we will select it at random. So here we are just selecting Ama at random. So if you select Ama at random, here is Ama. So we are going to count the rest of what we are going to. This is Ama. So we are also going to count 4 times. So where the 4 will lie, we will select that one. So we have Ama here. 1, 2, 3, 4. We are going to select AC. 1, 2, 3, 4. We are going to select John. 1, 2, 3, 4. We are going to select Ajimai. 1, 2, 3, 4. We are going to select Ajimai. So right now, our first sample, that's sample 1, will be what? Ama, AC, John, and Ajimai. So this is our sample, right? That's our first sample, because we just wanted to select we just want to just make some selection using the systematic sampling, and this is how we can use that systematic sampling to sample from the population, right? So let's go to the stratified sampling. So for stratified sampling, we are saying that it's a sample obtained by dividing the population into subgroup, or the subgroup called strata, according to some characteristics relevant to the study. There will be several subgroups. Then a subject are selected at random from each group, right? So for each group, this group is going to be based on a given criteria, right? So here, this is the example that we are going to use. The list here that we have: Ama Kofi Ya Kweku, AC, and the rest. These are the groups that. So we are just for the stratifier, just going to group them into subgroup of that have relative characteristics. So here we just want to group them according to the first letter, the first alphabet letter. So here we are grouping the first one with the individual names that start with K, right? So here we have Kofi and Kweku. So when you look here, we have Kofi, and then the next K that we have here is Kweku. This is the Kweku, right? So we have grouped them here. They will form the first strata, or the first group, and then those having their first letter to be A, that's Ama. 1, 2, 3, right? And the last one, Akos, 4, right? So you're having Ama, Amwa, Ajimai, and then Akos. So this is forming the second group that is called a strata, right? And then we have this one here, the one starting with Y, and we have only one Y, which is called the Yao, right? Which is called the Yao. And then we have name starting with E, that's only AC. So AC will form the fourth group, which is called the fourth strata, right? And then we come to those starting with J. So we have J and then John, right? Forming the fifth structure. Those starting with P, we have only Polycarp. X, we have only Sechim. Lithi, that's the L, we have only Lithi. And then Maya, we have for the M, we have Maya. That form that group. So here we have 9 individual groups here, and then these groups was not just formed just like that. They were formed according to them starting with a similar, let's say, letter. So for stratified sampling, we are just going to group the populations into subgroup called what? Strata, according to what? Their characteristics. So the characteristics that we have here is just name starting with what? Letter K, right? Starting with what? Letter K. So the last sampling technique that we have is what? Cluster sampling. Cluster sampling. So here a cluster sample is obtained by dividing the population into sections or cluster and then selecting one or more cluster at random and using all the members in the cluster as a member of the sample. So this, we are going to divide the population into individual clusters, and with this individual cluster we can just select one cluster, one or two clusters to use them as what? The sample to conduct your research. So this is Statistics and Mathematics Twitter channel. Please, if you haven't subscribed, kindly subscribe, like and share so that this video will get to your friends for them to also benefit. Thank you for watching. Bye.